Wow. 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 So, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has an issue going on with Boxing Scene and reporters from Boxing Scene and Boxing News 24, right? As they continue their assault on His Excellency and what he's trying to do in the sport of boxing and disrespecting the fights and the fighters that have been fighting with him. Terrence Bud Crawford is the pound for pound best fighter in the world. He's undefeated. He's a 4-division champion. He's undisputed in 2 separate weight classes, right? Terrence Crawford is 41 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. And he did an interview yesterday to which Terrence Crawford, he stated that he's going to face, obviously, the fight that we know that's coming up between himself and another first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division champion, undisputed super middleweight, going for a 2-time undisputed super middleweight, Saul Canelo Alvarez, September 13th in Las Vegas, Nevada, and is rumored to possibly be at the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. With that said, Terrence Crawford, he made the statement that he's not ruling out a move back down to 154. Now, he's had one fight at 154, which was August 3rd when he beat Israel Majamah for the WBA title. You have 2 world champions there now outside of him, which is the unified WBO WBC super welterweight champion, the towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora, who just knocked out Cordell Booker this past weekend. And you have the IBF undefeated champion, and Batram Mataliev, who knocked out Tim Tszyu in his last fight, dropping him 5 times in 3 rounds. With that said, Terrence Crawford stated that he's not ruling out, should he beat Canelo and they don't have a rematch, a move back down to 154 to look to become undisputed in 4 separate weight classes and create history. He says being a 4-division champion is iconic. Being an undisputed 3-division champion is iconic, but it would be memorable to be a 4-division undisputed champion. He's undisputed at 140, 147. He beats Canelo, he'll be undisputed at 168. And he's saying that to compete at 154 against the winner of Batram Mataliev, Sebastian Fundora, and be undisputed at 154, that will make him a 5-division champion and a 4-division undisputed champion, cementing his place as top 5 greatest fighters in boxing history. And he said that would be only rivaled by Henry Armstrong, right? And Boxing Scene, Boxing News, got a hold of this, and they absolutely rip into Terrence Crawford. And they titled this article, Terrence Crawford's Henry Armstrong Nonsense. Fans roast his Canelo fantasy and paper-thin resume. His Canelo fantasy fight and his paper-thin resume. Now, what's funny about this is they talk about his resume. But let's get into the resumes. They say his resume is paper-thin. He beat Sean Porter. He beat Errol Spence. He beat Kell Brook. And he beat Yuriorkis Gamboa when Yuriorkis Gamboa was top 7 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, undefeated, right? Canelo Alvarez, what's his biggest win? The Gennady Triple G Golovkin second fight, which was controversial. Many people thought he lost the first fight and the second fight. The third fight didn't even count because Triple G was a shell of himself. That's his biggest win, which is a controversial win over Gennady Triple G Golovkin, who is a 1-division champion. Unified middleweight champion, but he's a 1-division champion. Gennady Golovkin is. Outside of that, yeah, he did beat Danny Jacobs. He beat a washed-up Sergey Kovalev. He lost every round to Floyd Mayweather. He lost 9 rounds to 3 to Dimitri Bivol. He arguably lost to Erislandy Lara. So when you go down his resume, yes, he beat Caleb Plant. He beat Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith. But what was their biggest wins? Caleb Plant's biggest win was Jose Euskatiki. Billy Joe Saunders' biggest win? Chris Eubanks Jr. And Caleb Smith's biggest win? Unknown. So what is Canelo's biggest win? The Gennady Golovkin. One fight. He's beaten one Hall of Famer. Well, he did beat Shane Mosley, but we know Shane Mosley was washed up. So if Terrence Crawford's resume is paper thin, then isn't Canelo's resume paper thin? Right? He has one Hall of Famer that he beat. And what great fighter did he beat convincingly? Well, he did beat Jamel Charlo, who I think is going to be in the Hall of Fame. So, 2, Terrence Crawford beat Sean Porter, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. Errol Spence, I believe, will be in the Hall of Fame. And Yuriorkis Gamboa going to the Hall of Fame. Don't forget, I know people will say, well, they're small. Terrence Crawford started his career at 130 pounds. It's nasty work. It's a bad representation of the sport of boxing. But we're going to talk about this live, the resumes. And that's all I got for y'all. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. I'm gone. Peace.